Well, good morning. It is the end of September. I've been doing a lot of work on the property. I just haven't been recording it, only because I just get so tired and get on the go and kind of have to push myself to do these videos. But anyway, I wanted to kind of show you a little bit of what we got going on. Alright, so this is, well, I gotta take this guy down. It fell down through the last windstorm. This is kind of the cleared out area. We've got some nice Costco lights, which I can show you in the dark later on. There's the tree that Sean and I took down, and we got a nice view of the beaver pond and making good friends with the beavers. And standing out to this rock, looking out, and I've been kind of trying to build a trail. We also got our pod here, and put some solar up. That's just charging some battery banks just to keep this thing charged, and I've got an inverter as well, so when I want to use the microwave I can and such like that. Surprisingly enough, this old ratty pop-up tent has lasted pretty much all summer long here, through windstorms and everything, so I'm quite surprised on that. You can see the trail, or the driveway that we put in. I'm actually working on another one right here. I need to bring in some more gravel. Yay, more gravel. Well, this has turned out quite nice up here. We're able to bring the vehicles in along this way here, and then I back the van up right there, and just trying to widen this area here as well. And for one of the most important things that we did, and I'm a 90% type of guy, as my wife will always kind of joke around with me. We've got ourselves an outhouse. Just put some shingles on it last week, just in time for the giant monsoon that we've had roll through here. But it's kind of large, but I figure, you know what? Bigger the better, because you want to be comfortable. Made a nice little stone pathway for Nadine. She says it was too muddy there, so I brought in 6 bags of clear stone. Put that down there. So one of the most exciting things that have happened this summer is, well, let me put it this way. I've had to do a lot of trailblazing in and around the property, and moving a lot of rocks and things like that by hand or by four-wheeler or whatever else I can use. But this is probably the most exciting purchase I've had for a long time. So call it a midlife crisis, call it what you will. I'll just call it Kubota. This is the KX-033-4. It is a 8,000 pound or 3.5 ton mini excavator, and I've had it for about, well, 2 weeks I'd say now, and been doing a lot of work up here. A lot of the trails that I would normally access in the winter, basically down this way, leads to, of course, I'll just turn you around again, sorry to flip on camera, keep on flipping the camera. So this would be kind of the normal path in the winter that we would take up through the swamp. But here, what I'm attempting to do, and I use that word in quotations because I don't know how it's going to work. It may take a couple of years, or at least a year, for it to work. But I've been dredging out the slop, and beneath that slop is some clay, believe it or not, and clay and sand. But I'm dredging this out and trying to create a high ground here and flatten it all out so that it can be a nicer walking path to the back area of the property. And like I said, last week we had, or actually this week, or the beginning portion of this week, it has been just non-stop raining. So the water level is incredibly high, and you can hear it coming over, just overflowing the beaver pond right now. Oh yeah, I made this little man bridge here for now until I get some culverts. I gotta get some large culvert. But yeah, it is just coming straight over the beaver pond, coming in here. But the good thing is I've kind of cleared a path for the water to kind of go to the back section of that pond, and that's where the other crossing is that we would normally use on the four-wheelers. So I think it's going to take quite a lot of drying, and maybe a corduroy road, maybe putting down a lot of these logs and just kind of keep them going like that to make it, more dry, I guess, and a solid surface. Here is another project that I was working on. Flip this around. So I've got to do a little bit more trenching there, but I've got all these old pipes, and this is normally where the stream would run through. The old crossing, we had the four-wheelers come down this really steep hill and cross over. We made a little man bridge, much like the one back there at the beaver pond, to cross over the stream. Now last week when I was here, this was, I wouldn't say completely dry, but there was no water going at all. There was absolutely no water running along there. This is all flow from the rain that we've had this week. So I've got a culvert right there, and that's just taking all of this water and rerouting it out to there to try and keep this area dry. Now I need to, acquire some more soil, and that's the fun thing about this area here is the soil accumulation is hard because everything is just full of rock and stone. I've dug up as much as I can to create this kind of like a high ground. And this is the old skidder trail from like probably 60 plus years ago. I got another pipe here, but I'm going to lower this one. And then I'm going to chop off the end of it as well. But I kind of trenched all this stuff out to try and get all of this water. And this was a low part of the property. This is the old trail coming along here. And this was a low part that was, it was muddy, but it had like huge jagged rocks that would, just rip the heck out of the ATV tires. So I didn't want to have that happen. So a lot of the water was coming down from this valley here and a lot into this valley here. And I've created kind of like a bit of a ditch line and a berm to keep it from coming into this area. I've also built this area up a little bit anyway. And I'll have to continue to do a little bit more waterworks here. You can see all the water is coming in and following down and going through this culvert here, which again I would have liked to have lower, but there's a lot of huge rocks underneath there, and it could be even just bedrock, like a solid slab. So that's the lowest I could get this pipe, but as you can see it's kind of flowing out. I dug a trench out, took the Mini X out into the swamp out that way, and I plan to meet up with that on the other side and pull a lot of that back so that I can keep the water flowing out. So yeah, been doing a lot of work. We've got a lot of work done up at the mill as well. We've got a bunch more trails cut. It's been a productive summer. I've had this property for almost a year now, and I feel pretty accomplished in the amount of stuff that we've got done here, because I'm mainly doing it myself. Liam comes up every once in a while, helps out. My buddy Sean comes up every once in a while, and he helps definitely too. But as soon as two childhood friends get together, you can imagine what happens. We start messing about more than we start working, and the whole area is, or the whole timing that he's here is basically full of just old stories and laughs, as opposed to getting her done. But just heading to the mill site now to go get the trailer, because I got some hoisting straps and stuff like that I need to get. But I wanted to show you the trail. It's kind of what I've been working on, leveling all this area out with the Mini X. Hopefully you can hear me over the sound of the machine. Still needs some work here, but it's definitely a lot better than what it was. A lot more smooth and level. There's a big dip here. Flatten this whole area out, built a trail down that way, and that goes with the winter trail. I did this last weekend. The old trail used to run up through there. It was really bumpy and really rocky and stumpy. So I straightened it out. That big huge boulder was actually in the middle of this trail, and I was able to move it with the machine. So I may have to take some other ones out. We did sell the green machine last week as well. Just found that we weren't using it as much, and Nadine doesn't really like driving it. So when we go into town and such, there's my hoodie. Oh man, I was looking for that. That's my working Skull Skates hoodie. I've got my going out for dinner Skull Skates hoodie on right now. I was actually just thinking about that. I'm getting this thing all dirty. So I'll have to... Lost that last weekend, but obviously in the rush to get out of here on time to pick up Savannah. Fell off the machine, off the back of the machine. I didn't notice it right away. So you will go in here. So I'll show you the other areas here. So I've been basically flattening out these areas. I put another little trail going through this way from the one side of the mill site to the other. Pockets are starting to fill up with some water. It's all bedrock up here. It goes down a couple of feet and then nothing but solid rock. Here's the outhouse that we're building on. We were building that in the spring. Put a bit of a hold on it for now until we came up with the other camping site and finished that up. Beneath that tarp there, we got a bunch of milled wood. And then we flattened out this area for some more milled wood. Machine up here last weekend. Flat that area out. And flattened that area out. And I'll probably end up doing something with the area in behind the mill here as well. This is where all the sawdust gets accumulated. But yeah, we got devastated by the gypsy moths. I know I'm not supposed to say gypsy for some silly reason and hurt somebody's feeling, but you can see this spruce here and this hemlock here. This guy's starting to come back a little bit. This guy looks like it's starting to come back. They say the hemlock or the coniferous trees have one season. And you can see they're just having some of the needles come back. But they basically just rip and tear anything that they touch, especially the oak. So I was really worried about the oak because they all went into they all lost all of their leaves, and so it was kind of disheartening because it happened all through the property. Like I got 130 acres here and got a lot of oak. It brings in a lot of wildlife, and they just decimated the oak. But what happened is they lost all of their leaves, and then a couple of weeks later I come walking through and I just start seeing these leaves again. So apparently the oak will go into like a dormancy. It's a survival tactic, I guess, and they'll all their leaves will go, and then they won't produce any leaves, and then halfway through the season when all the moths are gone, turned into whatever they want to turn into next, I'm not sure, the leaves will start coming back out again. So they don't come out in full force, but you know, for a tree that was completely bare, this that oak there as well, but you'll see this one a little bit better. This is one of the big ones here, and you can see leaves that come back. So they'll say for a healthy oak, they'll say 3 seasons of these moths before they're done, and then the hemlock and the coniferous trees 1 season. So I'm hoping, I can see a couple of these not coming back already, but I'm hoping that a lot of the hemlock will come back, and this is the second second year of these moths. So I think we got one more year left, and hopefully after that they'll be done for another 20 or 30 years. So I don't know enough about this whole ecosystem stuff yet, but regardless, it's pretty frustrating when you know, buy a property that you just love the trees, and then next thing you know, trees are almost junk. So frustrating. But anyway, I gotta grab some straps, and I'll see you back at the Mini X. Okay, so I decided against that 16-footer up there, and I've decided to take these ones here. Now these are from that tree in behind me, right there. It's some kind of maple, whether it's sugar maple or something, I'm not sure, but I've got an issue with these maples. They're always rotting from the inside. But anyway, I kept these ones here because it could be some kind of cool crotch figure, and they may make some it's kind of some cool grain texture in there. So this may mill up, make some neat either charcuterie boards or live edge tables or something like that. So I've got this chunk of ash, I've got these two big pieces of maple, and attached to the four-wheeler in the trailer. So yeah, I'm always a glutton for punishment. We're going to try and get this thing through the muddy trail and see what happens. And then what I'll do is I'll just leave the four-wheeler at the mill site, walk back, grab the machine, and start cleaning up some of that trail again on my way back. I may put the cleanup bucket on, I may not. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet, but I just end up leaving it off because I want to have the digging bucket for back there for this afternoon. I want to start cutting some more trails, because cutting trails is kind of fun. So anyway, let's see how this goes. Well, I got here, and yeah, it was a bit of an ordeal. I didn't lose any logs, which is good, but coming across that stream, that beaver pond or the beaver crossing there, was a bit of an issue. Had to winch up a couple of times, but I kind of don't like doing that because it just rips the heck out of the trail. Probably shouldn't do that. Maybe what I'll do is just get everything organized at the sea-can site, and in the winter, maybe that's when I'll take things across, when the ground's a little bit more frozen before the mass snow, but not when it's mucky and sloppy, because it's just ripping the heck out of the trail that I'm just trying to build. So anyway, I will show you that in a second. Okay, so just walking up on the trail here, spinning guys around, and just had to winch onto that tree and winch onto that tree to get up here. So I had this all nice and flat. And of course the trailer, I gotta give it to the trailer though, if it wasn't that articulating tandem, it wouldn't make it up near as much as it would. It would just get hung up on a lot of this stuff. I would ultimately like to have the trail just come straight, but obviously I can't have that right now because of these giant boulders. I have to maneuver around here, so I really made a mess of this corner right here. So I'm going to try and clean this up as I come across with the machine again, and I'll probably try and pull some of these big boulders down into here so that maybe I could potentially fill them in, or when I get the breaker I could just kind of break them and then they'll all just kind of settle into place. At least that's what I'm hoping anyway. Gotta grab some more rocks for that crossing there as well. Ultimately I'd like to put a culvert there, but they're expensive for the size that I want. I need something that's going to be at least 36 inches, and yeah, they can get pretty costly, so just got to keep my eye open for that one. Sorry, I'm not looking at the camera face. I'm not even recording my face, I'm just trying to maneuver around here so I don't fall and break myself. Yeah, anyway, so I'll try and do something with these rocks on the way through here, see if I can make it a bit gooder. On to get the machine. Alright, so you know what's super fun? A couple of things actually. It's when you do a time lapse, trying to do some work, then you realize after you finish all you've done on that work, you realize that you didn't do a time lapse, you've just done about 3,645 photos. So yeah, that just happened. So, oh yeah, and another thing that's also fun, It's when you're working away in a machine in the middle of the woods and you don't expect anybody here, and you hear a yell in behind you, and it's your father. Dad literally just almost gave me a heart attack. But regardless, so he was just here for an hour or so. I took him around, kind of showing him what I was doing. But we got drainage there. Put another pipe in right there. This is really soft now, obviously, because it's just topsoily muck. Take a while for this to dry out. Anyway, it's collecting up some of that water that's up in here and allowing that to drain out there. We're getting some good drainage there of the other side, and again, I dug a lot of this up, so it's all mucky now. But yeah, all this is draining off nicely, going into that little pipe. And then this is the one I was working on when Dad almost gave me a heart attack. I'm just lowering this pipe here. We got bedrock down there, which makes it a little bit hard to get it low enough. But anyway, we're getting some water movement now, which is good. So that's allowing all this to kind of drain off, and I'm gonna clean out that little area there after I backfill. So I'm gonna backfill this and probably just continue my way along. It's about 10 to 3 right now, so I still got a couple of good working hours left anyway. So I'll do a time lapse next time. Alright, so that puts a little bit of a damper on things. I noticed this the other week. Pin was coming out of the tooth, and I managed to keep my eye on it, but obviously not good enough because pin just came out. Oh, I was happy enough to find the tooth, but I can't find the pin. If you don't have a tooth, then you wear down this nub. And that's no fun because buckets are expensive. So you want the sacrificial lamb to be the tooth and not the bucket. So I've got them on order, but of course, COVID wreaking havoc on anything that's ordered. I don't know, it's probably a lost cause trying to find it in here. So, and I don't have a bolt that I can just throw in there. Otherwise, I would do that as well, but nonetheless, we won't be able to do any crazy hack job digging with that bucket anyway. I've got a cleanup bucket, and I can do some stuff with that, but that's for cleaning up, not trying to dig up rock. I just took the logs off of the trailer and got one up on the mill for tomorrow, probably. And it's just gone 4 o'clock now, so we're going to try a little bit here and see how the ground is. Basically, we're going to try and grade this downhill a little bit, and then it kind of snakes back and goes to the bridge that I have over there. So I'll have to see how rocky it is. I don't want to damage this bucket. So I'm starting to get tired. Man, up since 4 this morning. So okay, here we go. is that for right now. It's just gone 6 o'clock. I'm pretty tired. Been in the machine for a lot today, so anyway, kind of made a new trail up this way. This is where the mill is. Normally I come down here and then turn in there and then go down, but just decided on moving this rotten piece here. I actually may get rid of this one, this tree right here, and just kind of flatten out this whole area. But it's on a pretty big angle, so it's a little bit interesting on the way down and on the way up. It's just taking a lot of dirt from that area and trying to build up on the one side just to have it a little bit more even. I'd like to get a little bit more dirt actually down at the bottom there. I may run up and down this a couple times with the blade, but it is a bit sketchy because of, you can see the angle. It's hard to see on the view of the two-dimensional camera, but anyway, again, just taking from here and adding a bit to there to make this corner a little bit easier on the four-wheeler. And then there's a high spot over here, took that down, and then I walked across there with the machine, and I probably should have walked back because I took the machine across here and the logs are, it's a pretty heavy machine, 8,000 pounds. So, and then took a big hump out of that area up there, and then dug some stumps out of where the cabin site potentially is going to be. Cleaned up some of the dirt or some of the logs over there. Probably do like a bush burn at some point in time, but I got a lot of bush burns that I need to do. There's just a lot of junk everywhere. But all in due time. Trails are kind of priority right now. Being able to access the property with the four-wheeler, especially in the winter, keep the trail somewhat plowed-ish anyway, so that I can go and collect logs. It's a lot easier when you got a flat trail as opposed to bumpy trail with a lot of rocks in the way. So anyway, gonna head back to the van, get a fire going, figure out what I'm gonna have to eat. Just kind of brought a bunch of scraps from the kitchen, so yeah, we will see you back at the fire. Well, with some wonderful luck, I actually got the fire going. Very surprised on that, because everything is so soaked. And to add insult to injury, just started coming down with rain. So, where we kind of started last year, well, we're still a couple of months ahead of last year, but it's 7 o'clock now, it's starting to get dark. Maybe lucky I got up early because I'm tired, but that just means that I'll be getting up early again tomorrow if I go to sleep too early. But nevertheless, I will hang underneath my shelter and have some chicken risotto with rice. No, risotto with chicken. Yeah. Put too much water in it, so it's basically like soup. Okay. Good thing I stopped when I did, I guess. Alright, talk to you in a bit.